Welcome to Talk to Brazil with Tom Reaoch, the business connector to business in Brazil. Welcome to Talk to Brazil, the world's first English language internet radio program about business in Brazil, now in podcast format. I'm Tom Reaoch and your host for the show. I'm talking to you from the city of Campinas in the state of Sâo Paulo, Brazil. So when you talk to Tom, you talk to Brazil and the world. Today's guest is Amanda Neves, and she's talking to us also from Campinas here in Brazil. Amanda and I are members of the Amcham Campinas business group, and we're recently together at a company visit. Amanda Neves is Director of Operations at Optel Brasil, a global leader in tracking and traceability technologies, with more than 19 years of experience in the technology industry, pharmaceuticals, medical device, and cosmetic industry, as well as startup businesses in Brazil, Denmark, China, France, and Canada. Amanda holds a degree in pharmaceutical sciences, a master in pharmaceutical technology industry, an MBA in project management, and in business management. She's now taking the personal business venture as a founder of the startup Zantz, which is a collaborative platform created to connect people who need to send goods and product to certain places to people who are already going to the same destination. So with that, Amanda, thanks and welcome to Talk to Brazil.
Thanks, Tom. It's a pleasure to be here and talk to you and share a little bit what I lived so far.
Yeah, well, when we were together during our company visit at Amcham, and after thinking about you and seeing your profile on LinkedIn, and seeing that you've been out, you mentioned you lived out in the world in Denmark, China, France, and Canada. I think it's good for our audience and for myself to understand a little bit about your experiences out in the world. So what can you share with us today?
Okay. So my life, it was a little bit adventure. I like to take some risks, and I did a master's degree in pharmaceutical, as you said. Mm-hmm. But I have an entrepreneur blood since my childhood. And my dream was do something that I could travel around the world and learn different cultures and know different people. And so I did. So I started working in Novo Nordisk. We built a facility in Montes Claros, north of Minas Gerais. Mm-hmm. And we built it was a greenfield project. So when I arrived at the project, it was just a piece of land. So we managed to build that. It was a great team. In that time I was quality assurance. Mm-hmm. And we had a great success in this project. So Novo Nordisk decided to build another facility in China, a little bit bigger than we had in Brazil. And then I said, okay, it's my time to start my plan. Then I did the MBA in project management with FGV, Fundação Getúlio Vargas, to get ready to take the opportunity. So I applied for the job. I was selected. Then I moved to Denmark to do the final concept design and the basic design. Mm-hmm. So I lived in Denmark for a year. Then I moved to China to be part of the team to execute the project. It was a great experience. I broke a lot of paradigms in that country. If I have the choice to repeat, I will do everything again. It was great 4 years.
Well, from here to Denmark, I think I'm not going to say it's easy because I don't think it's ever easy to go to another culture. And also going from a large country from like Brazil to a small country like Denmark. What were those changes? How did you feel in Denmark?
It was very good because Denmark is the example of society that I would like to live.
Mm-hmm.
It's everybody's equal down there. Doesn't matter which gender you are or how much money you have.
Right.
And everybody's treated the same. So it was a very, very nice experience on this matter. And my way to work is very close to the Danish way to work. So I was at home. In fact, when I was living in China, I used to go back to Denmark at least once a month, and I was feeling go back home. It was very nice. For the food, it was funny because when I was in Denmark, it was a lot of vegetables, and I love meat. So I didn't like that much. I missed Brazil a lot because of the food. But then when I was in China, I was missing Denmark. But when
Denmark's also a technological hub worldwide, right? So you also felt at home professionally, right?
That's right. It was very nice. It was really feeling go back home when I traveled from China to Denmark once a month.
But how was China? Then you landed in China. A Brazilian woman going through Denmark arrives in China. How was that?
It was very interesting. In fact, I hired my group there, so I also started from greenfield, from the scratch. Mm-hmm. And when you hire the team, it's a little bit easier, right? Because you have the chance to select who you feel that you will work well. Right. However, my first experience with the China SFDA, which is our Anvisa or the American FDA, right. It was very interesting. We were discussing the Good Manufacturing Practices Guide for China. We were invited as a multinational and with experience with FDA and European legislation. Mm-hmm. So it was me and my peer Chinese. She was part of my group. She was supervised in my group. And then I felt in this meeting that I was not very welcome because of my age. I was the youngest one at the table, and then. But then I started talking about technology, how we were using which technology we were using in Europe, and how we could measure some parameters in the pharmaceutical process. Mm-hmm. So when I started talking about technology and show what I had as experience, and in Portuguese we used to say the luggage that we have. Right. The package that we have, then they start. I think she has some interesting things to tell. Let's hear. And then
but do you feel that was an age factor, or was it also a gender factor? Or
I think it was age, because it was pretty much mix up gender in the room. So I think it was age. And then after some months, I was invited from them to talk to the Chinese pharmaceutical, to give training to the Chinese pharmaceutical people that was working in the industry. Mm-hmm. So it was a very good compliment. I did some cup of training to them, and it was a pleasure to contribute for the public health in China.
Okay. Let me ask you, if you don't mind, how old were you at that time?
I was 29. I was 29, 29, 30, something like that.
Okay. So China, age is a factor. Denmark, age doesn't matter, right?
Denmark, nothing matters. If you are contributing to the society, then you are fine.
Now, Denmark, one of my first professional experiences in Brazil many, many years ago was with a Danish company. So I also had a chance to spend not a year, but like 6 weeks there learning processes and what have you. So I also have very fond memories of Denmark. And exactly what you said, even many years ago, was the same. Everybody is created equal. You're respected for who you are. You're also respected, obviously, for what you know, and then it's a very sharing type of environment, right?
Yeah.
Always very, very fond of that. And it stayed the same way. But then from China, where did you go?
Then from China, I came back to Brazil for a startup, a Swiss startup.
Mm-hmm.
I came to Belo Horizonte.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, when I was in China, I would like to come to US or to France through Novo Nordisk.
Right.
But then they didn't have the spot.
All right.
And I would not like to go back to Denmark because of I would like to be in a society that I could. Good.
Okay.
So I would like to have another experience rather than Denmark
Mm-hmm.
and China, because 4 years in China you live in a kind of a bubble. In fact, because of the language. So every time you pass in front of a shop, you need to look through the window and see if it's a supermarket or if it's a restaurant. Read that characters is very hard.
Okay.
So I had this opportunity to come back to Brazil to work in this Swiss startup.
Mm-hmm.
It was a startup for heart valves.
Heart valves, okay.
Heart valves. They came to Brazil because we have a huge amount of pigs that we slaughter every year.
Mm-hmm.
So the raw material for the valves was a membrane that involves the heart of the pig.
Okay.
So Brazil, it was a rich source of raw material. And then I transferred the technology from Swiss to here. They were the group here was very good.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and everything was manual, so it was very interesting process. Came from pharmaceutical industry where we produce 300 pieces per minute, and then suddenly end up in a manual process, in a handcraft process.
Wow.
But then Novo decided to call me back, and then I went to France.
All right.
For the facility in France. They were doing a kind of expansion down there.
Mm-hmm.
So they were growing the size, and I went there to help. And then for personal reasons, I needed to come back to Brazil.
Okay.
So I decided to come back. And then when I came back, I came with the idea to open my own business, which I didn't know in that time.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any good idea.
Uh-huh.
And also, after a while, to go for the political career. So I still have 5 years more according to my plan.
Oh, okay. No, so
And then Optel came up over the across the road. It was very interesting project. I opened Optel from zero here as well. So even the registration they had. So it's literally from zero. So I found the location. I did all the papers, documentations to open the business, and hire the team and put the operation ready to start.
So when you talk about having startup knowledge, you start up from the ground up, really.
Yeah, for big and medium business.
Well, I don't think it's different from a small business, from a personal startup. All parts of processes, and you have to think through everything the same way, I think so. But
yeah, the
what was your
bureaucratic
takeaway
part
from all of this?
is,
When you 4 years in China, the time in Denmark, did that all give you ideas?
the idea that came out to my mind was doing Optel. Because Optel is very much involved in the circular economy, track and trace, environment, and this is where I think build up my brain to think about some ideas about that.
Yeah, because on your LinkedIn profile, you show that you're Industry 4.0, Logistics 4.0, Circular Economy, and Collaborative Economy, right? So those are
that's right.
Those are all pieces and parts that really all fit together, right?
That's right. So for Optel, since it's a technology company, we do the Industry 4.0 and the Logistics 4.0. And due to that, since we do the traceability, the track and trace from raw material until the product is end life of the product, right. This is where the circular economy comes. So our idea is to do the traceability, where when you take a mobile phone, for example,
right.
you know exactly the quality of the components that it's inside. And then when this mobile phone stops working or you decide to trash it,
right.
then the recycle company that will take it, when it scan this mobile phone, the company will know exactly which they can reuse, which components they can reuse, and which they really need to its end use of its end life of the component. You know, there is no more other
than recycling
usage of that.
Or another destination then.
That's right. So this is where the circular economy comes.
Yeah, well, when we were together and talking about that at the Amcham meeting, and obviously one of the things was that traceability, and the word traceability is becoming used more so in everything.
That's right.
It's amazing. We were talking about certain things. We were talking about pharmaceuticals. We were talking about the food industry. But basically, I mean, now you're talking about a phone and the components in that. Everything seems to have the need to be traceable now as we move forward.
That's right. But we have limited resource on the Earth. So we need to take care of the resources that we have right now, and we need to reuse these resources as much as possible. Otherwise, we will have a day where we do not have components to do the electronic plates anymore, for example.
Yeah,
and then this will stop technology.
The conversation around rare earth today. I was even aware, there are certain things that just don't exist. So we're running into some problems. But did this experience all bring you to Zantz? Why did you start Zantz? What is Zantz?
Okay, so with this idea to reuse the resources as much as possible, it came out. I was at center of São Paulo downtown one day, and I saw a lot of people coming and going from the subway. And then I said, my goodness, there are a lot of people that it's going back and forth with empty hands. And why not use these resources to take goods, envelopes, whatever, and help someone that wants to send something to somewhere, and this somewhere is the same destination as this person. So, and this is where it came the collaborative platform that Zantz is.
Okay.
So it's a way to collaborate and use as much as possible the resource that is on the road, for example.
So literally that. You want to take advantage of people coming and going and giving them an opportunity from wherever they're going to take something with them.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So today they released an article in Folha de São Paulo, if I'm not wrong, saying that the cost of the applicatives, Uber, 99, and so on, it's around 10% of the income of people.
Right.
And in this case, Zantz can help to pay this bill, for example.
Right.
Because you get paid to
to deliver. Yeah.
To deliver, that's right. So Zantz can help to pay this bill.
Oh, so it's going to be collaborative to that point. So just make money walking around.
Yeah. And this is just the start.
Right.
So we are releasing the MVP now on 17th of June. Mm-hmm. But the entire idea is to build a huge collaborative platform.
And today it's let's say it's pre-function, it's pre-launch, right?
Yeah, we are in the test phase.
Right.
So we are planning to test until end of June, and then make the adjustment that is necessary, and then really launch on beginning of July.
And another thing we talked about was scalability. Obviously, you said downtown São Paulo. You're starting here in the region of São Paulo in Brazil. Then you plan to take that nationwide, worldwide. Where do you see this going?
I see first we will do São Paulo, and then we will go Brazil, and then South America. If we succeed on this area, then we can do whatever afterwards, because it's a very good test.
Do you think that it's a question I would have in this thought process is is there a cultural implication? Do you think in Brazil, Latin and South America, people would be open to taking something to somebody else?
I think it's a change of habit. And most of people that I start to talking about this idea, oh no, but what if the people doesn't deliver? And then I said, come on, you use Airbnb and you stay at a place that you don't know the owner, and sometimes you stay together the owner in the place.
Right,
so you take a car that the driver can kidnap you. It's not just a good, it's your life. So why not? But I like when I receive this kind of question, because show us that we are going to the right direction.
No, I agree with you. I think when we're looking and talking industry 4.0, everything's 4.0. Everything's going to change. Our habits are going to change. What we're doing, we're talking today, that changed. Everything's different. And you've had the opportunity to be literally around the world, and you see how much change has happened. And I was amazed just when we're talking about traceability of the extent that this has come and things that can be found out. So, but I think everything takes time to change. People are becoming more open. And I think one of the drivers that I've seen is the fact that we walk around with a handheld device, which is the phone, right? A smartphone. And actually, it's less of a phone than a device. And everything's in this device. And the more people are using apps, the more they want an app. People don't want to talk anymore. They just want to click on an icon. They want to go right to the final destination on the app. And I agree with you. It's amazing. You just see everybody walking around. Everybody's punching their phone.
But you know what? I see Zantz as a way to interact as well. Mm-hmm. I agree with you that we are going downhill regarding interaction, but I think we'll be a valley and then we'll go up to the peak again.
I don't consider going downhill. I don't want to give that impression, but what I do feel is that the interaction, people interacting with others through a device. Even though some people say, well, they're not talking to a person, but what I feel, no, they're interacting with someone somewhere, and that's what the world's about. Because today there are billions of Chinese that I don't interact with them because I'm not going to call them, but I do need a mechanism that can help me interact with them. So I think the other side of that is we tend to close ourselves off. I think the apps and the collaborative portion really opens people up, and it will be a driver to open people up.
Yeah, and I see this behavior changing again in the near future. I agree with you that we prefer to talk through apps instead of face-to-face, but I see the face-to-face coming back again. And this is where the collaborative economy will fly.
No, it will. I don't think face-to-face will ever leave. We saw that together in our meeting with our business group. 50 business persons coming together, seeing the same thing together at a meeting and collaborating afterwards. We are literally talking together today because we met face-to-face somewhere. Right?
Yes.
If
right.
we hadn't had the opportunity to meet face-to-face and discuss what we discussed, probably I would not have talked to you.
That's right.
I might not
You're
have
right.
found you. And that's the way it is today. So I think that there's
That's
good
right.
in the app, there's good in being together, and we need both. You were out in the world and you saw that. The world's full of people. You can't ignore that.
No. And it's not healthy to ignore that.
That's true. It's a learning experience. So
yeah.
I learned a lot today, Amanda, and I want to thank you because we're running to the end of our time. But I want to thank you for being with us and sharing your experience. And I'm personally looking forward to seeing what I can hand deliver to somebody. I think that's going to be a networking experience. And I'll deliver an envelope to somebody and I'll meet somebody else. I think that's going to be great.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So thanks again for being part of our program. Okay, Amanda.
Thank you very much, Tom. And if somebody has some other questions and want to go deep in some points that we discussed, feel free to connect me at LinkedIn.
We'll certainly do that, okay? And I want to...
Thank you very much.
I want to invite all of our listeners exactly to that, to visit our website, talktobrazil.com, where you will find the page for Amanda Neves and links to her LinkedIn, also links to the Zantz.app, as well as to Optel, so you can learn more about her and find links to her. You can also find previous shows of Talk to Brazil on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, TuneIn, amongst others. And I want to thank you, our audience, and remind everyone that today's program was brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence. And Focus MI specializes in market research for the Brazilian agricultural market. You can find more about them on their site, focusmi.com. And you can always send your suggestions or comments and find me at tom@talktobrazil.com and join our Talk to Brazil group on LinkedIn and follow our discussions. So remember, when you talk to Tom, you talk to Brazil and the world. Goodbye, and thanks for listening today. Thanks for listening to Tom Reaoch on Talk to Brazil, the business connector to Brazil.